What's up, everybody? It's the Mighty Maestro T out here, and I'm gonna be talking about World War Hulk and like why it's such a dope story. And listen, like I'm a huge Hulk fan, and this is definitely the story that made me a Hulk fan. Like, I never really cared too much about his character. I always liked him, but Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, like they gave Greg Pak, he gave so much depth to the character that I didn't think was there. But the premise is basically World War Hulk is a continuation of a storyline called Planet Hulk, in which a group of superheroes known as the Illuminati end up sending the Hulk into space, and he lands on like a planet, becomes like a gladiatorial slave for a while, then becomes like the king of the planet, gets married, has a kid, all that good stuff, or gets married and is about to have a child when the ship that he was sent on blew up and killed basically everybody. So then he goes back to Earth and looking for some vengeance, and that's where we pick up the story. And when I say there was never a moment in any other comic story that I've ever read in my life, even down to this day, where I was like, oh man, all hell is about to break loose. Like, this is really about to be a problem. Because if you know about the Hulk, you know the stronger he gets, the madder he gets. Well, there's also more to that. Not only does he get stronger, he gets faster. His reflexes get faster. He gets tougher, which means the more difficult it is to actually even injure him. And then he already has a crazy fast healing factor, but it gets faster. So I'm like, oh man, this is really about to be a problem. Thor's still dead because he died in Ragnarok. Blue Marvel's not even on the planet. From what I would assume, he's nowhere around. Like, oh, this is really about to be a problem. And you guys, oh my god, let me tell you. So this dude lands on the moon and like pulls up on Black Bolt, and Medusa's talking to him, and she's like, listen, Hulk, you and Black Bolt done did this before, and he done beat you once before. You're not trying to do this. And the Hulk is like, yeah, I'm not really trying to hear none of that. You gotta pay. And jumps at him, and Black Bolt's like, yeah, enough. And like sends Hulk flying across the moon, man. And like this thing blew off like a Rhode Island sized chunk of the moon. And so like everybody's like, oh man, we told you Hulk ain't want these problems. And Black Bolt turns around and walk off like he done did it. And you see the Hulk jump up in the air, and he's like, bro, I didn't come here to hear you whisper, fam. I came here to hear you scream. All right. And so it goes to Earth, and some stuff's happening, and all of a sudden, like, the Hulk just pops up, just like in the middle of in the middle of the city, just on this massive freaking battleship with like his warband, which were the group of aliens who basically helped him establish the new kingdom in the Planet Hulk storyline. But they're basically his day ones for all intents and purposes. And I guess if you don't know what day ones are, they are his teammates and sworn by an honor code to follow him till death. They're sworn by honor code to follow each other until death. Let's just put it like that. So he gets there, and he's like, people of Earth, I've come to smash, and I figured you should know why. A group of your heroes called the Illuminati, which is Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, the stretchy guy from the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Professor X, which during the events that led to them sending him off-world, he was actually dead. Black Panther, who at this point left the Illuminati because they actually decided to make that decision, stating that one of these days what you're doing is going to come back to bite you. Namor the Submariner, he's king of Atlantis, and I'm missing someone, but I'll remember in a moment. But he's like, oh, Black Bolt. He's like, yeah, I've come to smash. These guys, you know, they tricked me into fighting this machine. After I beat it, they sent me off into random space. I became a slave. I was tortured. I was burned. You know, I got there and I was way weaker than I was. You know what I'm saying? They could hurt me. You know, and so I was a slave. I was tortured, but I rose up. I became a king. I saved the world. I became a savior to these people. I got married. I even, you know what I'm saying? Like, I even had a kid on the way. But the ship that your heroes sent me on exploded, and it killed everyone, including my wife. And well, they're gonna pay for it. So, bring me these heroes, and I want them here now. You got 24 hours. You got 24 hours to get me these heroes and to evacuate New York City. Because if they're not here in 24 hours, I'm gonna do this. And he holds up like Black Bolt's limp, broken body. His suit's all torn up. He's like, I'm gonna do this to your whole freaking planet. Now, most of the general public don't know who Black Bolt is. They don't know what he's about. But at this point in comics, Black Bolt was ranked as like one of the top 5 strongest people on the planet. Like, if he were to shout, his voice could destroy the planet. And so, like, for everybody else, like the governments of the world and people who know about Black Bolt, they were like, oh crap. Oh crap, the Hulk just came and beat up Black Bolt. Like, oh crap. What we gonna do? So the Illuminati were like, Tony Stark was like, okay. So they start evacuating New York, blah, 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 blah. And, Tony's like, all right, well, we got to do something about this. You know, some stuff is happening. So tries to fight the Hulk and the Hulkbuster. Does not do very well at all. I think Doctor Strange comes up, tries to fight him. Gets him to calm down for a little bit. Like, oh no, I'm sorry. After Iron Man, I believe it was, a couple of other superhero teams came in and tried to fight, along with like She-Hulk and Luke Cage and like Ares, the God of War, and like Wonder Man and a few other people. They got absolutely stomped. I mean, they got like stomped, y'all. It was bad. And so then I believe like, what is his name? The Fantastic Four jumped down, and Ben Grimm came in and was trying to fight folks. He caught the Hulk with like a good one, clean one to the face. He was like, your boy don't back down when it's clobbering time. Hit him with a mean right, y'all. Busted the Hulk's lips up and everything. My man looked at him, smiled, and was like, yeah. Gave him the work, y'all. Gave him the work in like 3 hits, bro. Put down the thing. Then goes over, finds the X-Men, because he's like, yo, I need to talk to Professor X, like. And some of the X-Men like, bro, he wasn't even around when that jump happened, like, yada yada yada, we done suffered enough. And he's like, yeah, listen, I'm not trying to hear that. I think it was Beast that opened the door and he was talking to the Hulk. He's like, bro, I'm not trying to hear that. And Beast is like, well, we can't let you talk to him. I don't know why he said that, but Beast get like straight up backhanded. He gets sent flying, whatever. Freaking, and then the Hulk goes to fight like basically like the B roster, C roster of like the X-Men. And then, and he's straight up trashing them because they ain't nobody. And then so like the A-Team comes in, like Emma Frost, Colossus, Cyclops, Darwin, Strongman, like all these fools come in. And they start like giving them, like they start like doing their thing, man. And for a minute, you think they're gonna like, they're starting to look like they get the upper hand, but then it's just like, nah, because the Hulk's not like having it. Some guy comes in, turns off like the Hulk's healing factor. He still starts like beating the hell out of everybody. And then like Darwin comes in and tries to like suck all the gamma radiation out of him. That doesn't work. And then so like the Hulk starts turning toward and like coming to Darwin, and then Darwin like just disappears. And for those of you guys who don't know who Darwin is, he's basically a mutant where his mutant ability is he can survive to like adapt to survive anything, like anything. And they did him dirty in the movies, but like it was funny because in this point everybody's like, well, where did Darwin go? And somebody, I think it was Warpath, was like, well, Darwin's natural ability is he can adapt to survive any situation, and if he just like randomly disappeared, it means his body figured the best way for him to survive this encounter for him was for him to not be here, which is kind of a huge thing. But the Hulk goes on to like break Colossus's arms. Wolverine jumps in. He's like, come on, man, we've done this dance 100 times. And the Hulk's like, yeah, I know I can't like kill you, but I know I can, you know, give you a concussion. And like holds him and starts like hitting him repeatedly in the face to the point where like Wolverine is like concussed, y'all. He's like drooling and like just like done, and throws him to like, I'm assuming like another city. And then like, you know, just he basically beats up all the X-Men, goes back, fights more Avengers, fights Doctor Strange, and it was at this point that we got the confirmation that like Hulk's physical strength is on par with like cosmic beings, because there's a being that Doctor Strange fought in the comics called Zom, and Zom was so powerful that it took no less than a living tribunal, which is literally the second strongest character in Marvel. It took the living tribunal to come and be like, you're not supposed to be here, and like ban him from our dimension. Well, Doctor Strange like channeled his power and was like fighting the Hulk and blowing holes through his chest and stuff like that. But you know, he was losing control of himself because extra dimensional demon, ultimate power corrupts ultimately, or whatever that saying goes. So like Hulk ends up beating him, which is ridiculous. Fights like some other folks. I don't remember. It was Hercules and his squad. Ends up beating the crap out of Hercules, which in terms of pure physical strength, Hercules is probably the only person on Earth in terms of pure physical strength who could have matched and probably stopped World War Hulk, because they both, that's literally both their power. Like they have limitless strength. So I mean, it was just insane. Like after the Hulk beat up all the superheroes, he goes to like Madison Square Garden, tears the roof off of it, like the literal roof off of it, turns it into like a gladiatorial arena, shoots like all the superheroes with these obedience discs, and like forces them to fight each other to the death. It was crazy. At the last moment, like Iron Man hacks into it, and like so he's able to stop it from happening. But because his technology isn't as good as Sakaran technology, Hulk like gets control over it again and basically orders like Mr. Fantastic to kill Iron Man. And you know, I didn't mention this earlier, but while all of this is happening, there's a character by the name of Robert Reynolds, the Sentry, and he basically has the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. And everybody's been trying to get him to come out and fight on, you know, on their behalf, because as far as they're concerned, like him, Black Bolt, and the Hulk are the strongest superheroes there are. You know, if Thor was alive, he would be in there too, but as far as everybody is concerned, those are the 3 strongest heroes. Black Bolt's already beaten, so you know they need him. So like the entire time, everybody's been like pleading for him to come out and fight. But see, the thing about the Sentry is he has like a split personality called the Void, and if he were to lose control of the Void, it would basically come out and kill everything in existence. It is pure evil. So he's terrified of letting it out. He's terrified of letting it fight, you know, things like that. Well, when the Hulk gives the thumbs down in the arena for Mr. Fantastic to kill Iron Man, well, the Sentry flies into action, and man, let me tell you, bruh, oh my God, y'all, he fly in and hit the Hulk, and it looks like 4 city blocks just explode into fire, man, and buildings is blowing up. When I say these dudes are going back and forth, like this fight is like melting the city. It's melting the city. crap is exploding, buildings are like flying everywhere, and like the Hulk is hitting Sentry in the face, and Sentry's taking it. He's like, does it always feel this good, man? Because I can never let go. Like, I can never let my full power explode. Like, hit me more, hit me harder. And I mean, Hulk's boom, but banging it, giving him the work, y'all. And so like Sentry's like, yeah, he finally like lets go all his energy, and like this giant fire tornado starts spinning through New York, eating it, like just burning things up. And like, so they start hitting each other, and I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. These guys are beating the hell out of each other to the point where they basically work each other back down into their human forms. The Sentry passes out. The Hulk, you know, reverts back to Banner. And it seems like he's like, you know, I'm done. I'm done. And this is when you find out a massive secret. But one of the Warbound, Meek, he's like, nah, you're not done, man. You got to make them pay for what they did. And Hulk's like, nah. And Banner's like, nah, we're done. And Meek's like, no, you're not done. And goes to stab Bruce Banner, but Bruce Banner's old friend Rick Jones, who happens to be there as well, sees this and jumps in the way of the spear and gets stabbed in the back. Now, this is incredibly significant because Rick Jones is the reason that the Hulk is even in existence. See, back when the Hulk was created at a Gamma base, they were about to test a Gamma bomb when this kid named Rick Jones decided that he wanted to play a freaking harmonica, of all things, so he drove on a freaking nuke testing site. Well, Bruce Banner saw him and, you know, went out there to, like, you know, save him, and he throws him in like a trench just in time. An explosion happens. I still don't see how physically that saved him, but whatever. Saves this kid, and that's how he ends up becoming the Hulk, because he pushed Rick Jones out the way, you know, so he didn't take all those gamma rays. So Rick Jones has always been who the Hulk considers his first and like best friend. And he kills him. Kills Rick Jones. And the Hulk comes back and he's pissed. I mean, he's royally pissed. He is way madder than he was before. And so he proceeds to start stomping the crap out of Meek. And, you know, the rest of the Warbound is like, Hulk, no, you can't do that. We're Warbound. And, you know, Meek is like, of course he can. He's the world breaker. That's what he was meant for. You know, I watched you become a king and try to settle down and lead the people. And that's cool, but that's not what you were made for. You were made for death, and you were made for destruction. And I wanted to remind you of that. So I watched them load a warp core onto your ship. Going back to the ship that the Hulk, see, it was a huge miscommunication. Back when the Red King was still the king, they wanted to try to assassinate the Hulk, so they loaded a warp core onto his ship. Meek saw it, but never said anything about it. Meek knew it was on the ship, and he knew it wouldn't kill the Hulk, but he knew it would remind him, quote unquote, in his terms, of what he was made for. So he tells the Hulk, I watched them load that warp core on your ship, and I just waited because I knew once it detonated, you would remember who you were. So yeah, I let that happen. And so like one of the other Warbound, like, it basically looks like a giant alligator fly bee looking thing. It's creepy looking. But it uses one of his tentacles and like kills him, like slashes him across the face. And, you know, they're like, how could you do that, man? Billions of people died and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, is Hulk okay? And y'all, it was like, it was the most intense looking thing, because when they all turn around, Hulk is just sitting there just like you ever seen that really mad kid who's just like, he's just sitting there just like fuming, everything's shaking, and he's just like, oh my God. And I mean, he loses his mind. And it is at this point, you guys, that we get the strongest version of the Hulk in comics that we had ever seen up until that point. At this point, we get what is known as the infamous World Breaker Hulk. And you guys, this dude gets so angry that the transformation of this of him turning into this World Breaker causes shockwaves to blow windows out of every freaking store and building all throughout downtown New York. I mean, just all throughout. My man takes a footstep, one single footstep, and creates a chasm that starts to sink the entire eastern seaboard. You know what I'm saying? And he looks at everybody and he's like, I don't care what you have to do. You get your bombs, you get your nukes, you get your superheroes, do whatever you got to do. But y'all better take me out right now, because if you don't, I am going to destroy this entire place. He was so mad, y'all. So mad that he had got so strong that he knew that if he did anything else, because he took one step and almost sank half the country, he knew that if he did anything else, he was going to destroy the entire planet. So he was like, y'all, you better do something, because if you don't, everyone and everything is going to die. And so what happened was Tony took like some satellites and basically bombarded him with a thing called the cathexis ray. Unbeknownst to Tony, though, his ray that he used to drain all the gamma radiation out of the Hulk was hacked by a group of supervillains and used for some really nefarious things. But that's a story for another time. But yeah, man. So they sucked all the gamma radiation out of him. Hercules ended up taking like some chains from Olympus or something like that, and holding the two halves of the country, and eventually pulling them back together. But it was, you guys, if you're normal Hulk, I'm gonna put it like this, like the level of World War Hulk. Okay, if your normal, average, everyday Hulk is normal, regular Saiyan Goku, all right, then World War Hulk was like Super Saiyan 2. You know what I'm saying? But your World Breaker Hulk, all right, your World Breaker Hulk is on like an Ultra Instinct level transformation for like the Hulk. If the Hulk had an Ultra Instinct form, it would be World Breaker, except his thing isn't dodging, it's like strength. It's insane. So if you haven't read it, definitely check it out. It is definitely worth the read. And I mean, it's crazy because you find out later on, years down in comics, that he was holding back the entire time and could have killed everyone. So I mean, it's insane, but so much. Let me know down in the comments if you want to know who the supervillains who hacked into Tony Stark's technology are and what nefarious plans they use that energy for. Let me know in the comments, and I'm the Mighty Amaso T, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.